All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is Frederick L. Jones, founder and publisher of Saturday AM. And of course, as you guys can see from our little slideshow presentation there, this is March Art Madness 2019. This is the actual fourth round, what we call our Elite Eight. And this is the tournament, the Ultimate Fan Tournament, where artists from around the world get to compete mano a mano style. They actually are demonstrating and presenting their art prowess from round to round, different themes each week, and competing. And they're competing for some great prizes. And so we're really excited about where we are with this year's version of it. As always, I'm joined by some of our great creators, and we'll be introducing them here shortly in a moment. But if you've been following along, you know that we began with 64 different artists, and we are now down, as I indicated, to our Elite Eight. This is our final 8 artists. So we normally go through a little bit of a setup for this, for those of you who are new. So we're going to be looking at all these extraordinary artists and looking at some great artwork for this week. But first, let's run through a little bit about who we are and what this tournament is all about. So Saturday AM is the world's most diverse comics anthology. And you may be asking, what exactly does that mean? It means that we focus on manga style content, but we have featured artists who are literally from around the world. So these are creators who are coming from places as diverse as Nigeria or Hungary, all the way to New Zealand and Mexico. And these are featuring characters as well who are equally diverse. We wanted to take our love of content like Shonen Jump and Weekly Shonen Sunday and various publications like that from Japan, and to present that sort of content with characters and with creators who were literally from around the world. We began in 2013, and we just recently celebrated our 101st issue within 5 years of publication. So that tells you that not only were we producing quality content consistently, but we were doing it on a more frequent basis than normal. Most American or global attempts at trying to do a manga style publication does not feature the consistency of content that we do, and they certainly don't feature it as frequently as we do. We were publishing content every 2 weeks. This year in 2019, we've got so many big things we're focused on that we're actually making the magazine monthly for a limited time, just to allow us to have time to do things like March Art Madness. Likewise, with Saturday AM, if you enjoyed that, you know that is more like a shonen style publication, meaning it's focused on young teens. Saturday PM is our more adult spinoff, and that focuses on more mature content. You can see here what some of the issues look like, and they feature, again, all the diversity you could imagine. We have characters who are Latino, characters who are African descent, characters who are from Europe, characters who are from America, characters who are from other parts of the world. And we're really proud to have so many unique artists, unique characters, and unique settings. Clock Striker is one of our biggest series. It features Shonen Manga's first Black female lead character. And White Manga, who many of you may know, he is not only the creator of Apple Black, one of the most popular series online, and one of Saturday AM's most popular series, but he has subsequently gone on to create a second series called Bakassi, which plays on some of his own Nigerian roots, taking place in a sort of fantasy, modern fantasy landscape. And that is actually running inside of Saturday PM. So again, you can see all the various types of contents and creative imagery that we have for Saturday AM and Saturday PM. We've been doing consistently since 2013. In fact, our latest issue of Saturday AM will debut early next week. That will be issue 102, featuring a beautiful cover from New Zealand artist Oscar Fong, featuring our big series, Massive Multiplayer World of Ghosts, which itself features Shonen Manga's first Indian lead character, as well as hit series Titan King, Spoon, and of course, Bully Eater by co-founder Raymond Brown. Likewise, Saturday PM will actually come out tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow, I believe that's April 7th. And that will feature the debut of a new artist and a new series. The artist is named JR, and the series is called Underground. It's an MMA style sports series, our first one that we've ever done. And so we're super excited. Gorgeous artwork, fantastic premise. And you're going to find that alongside of two other great series inside of Saturday PM. You're going to find all of that tomorrow with a brand new issue of Saturday PM, which will take on our brand new interactive format. These have animations, live video, and the works. So please check out Saturday PM tomorrow and check out Saturday AM issue number 102 later this week. If you love Saturday AM, then you know that we, of course, also feature great graphic novels. These are actual books that collect some of our most popular series. We are working hard to bring these series to retail. We just presented our content at Comics Pro, which is the international retail organization, and we were thrilled to find so many retailers from Australia to the United Kingdom to Canada to the U.S. who really had fallen in love with our brand and our presentation. So we're working really hard to bring you more of that content directly to your local comic book store, your local bookstore, and or your local library. And trust us, we'll be announcing all the details about that very, very, very soon. As far as March Art Madness goes, this event has been around since 2016. In fact, next year for 2020 will be our 5th year of doing March Art Madness, and we are super excited about everything we've got planned for March Art Madness. This is an event that has really taken on a life of its own, and of course, it comes from Saturday AM. The general idea here is to take what we believe in at the absolute core of our being, which is the idea that great content comes from having lots of great voices. Diversity matters. And so the same way that Saturday AM was created to highlight that diversity, where we didn't feel like it was being done before from some big companies who focus on manga, we wanted to apply that to just the introduction to comic art. And so traditionally tournaments, as you know, are tend to be month-long events. They focus on one image. But with this, we wanted to create something that really simulated what it's like to be a professional artist. So if you're someone who loves art, this tournament really forces you to try to go through a gauntlet of some of the biggest obstacles to creating a professional career in art. That means deadlines. That means drawing things you're not used to. That means changing themes. That means being competitive, having to be a better artist, frankly, than another artist you might be competing against. And so we kicked this off in 2016. We've had artists literally from around the world. Miles O'Brien won in 2016. He was from the United States. William Peterson won in 2017. He's from Sweden. And then Bailey Boutel from Australia won in 2018. And we are so proud of each of these artists, Bailey Boutel in particular, because Bailey had never really taken art seriously. He didn't know that was really something he could pursue. And thanks to March Art Madness, he's gone on to become quite successful at producing character artwork. You can see some of his artwork here. This is a great piece he did last year featuring the Saturday AM characters. We launched the event in March 2011 this year. We actually had a pre-tournament that began this year. You can see the beautiful artwork here from Canadian artist Nathaniel. This is just a gorgeous piece that he did for the pre-tournament. And so the event has continued on, and we're actually going to be concluding the event. Actually, this is the wrong date. We had the wrong day last week as well, so it should have been updated. But that'll next Saturday will be our final live broadcast featuring a review, and this will be the final review for the entire competition. And this will be April 13th, 2019. This year, what makes this event so unique, if you've never experienced it before, is that the themes change every single week. So again, unlike most competitions where it's one topic and you're just drawing it over a course of a number of weeks, this is a brand new piece of artwork every single week. The themes change, and this year we unveiled really unique themes, everything from comic pages to character swaps, mythological, and monsters. So this is a really cool year for us. We've debuted some new ideas, including ranking powers, where an artist could actually change the concept that they were drawing if they didn't want to. So far, we haven't had anyone do that, but it is a unique idea. And so, again, it's giving artists a chance to draw something and try something unique in terms of the tournament. Now, this year, we've had an amazing sponsor. We're going to talk about them here shortly. Chameleon. If you guys have not heard of Chameleon, they are fantastic. They make some of the best art supplies, markers, pencils that you could possibly get. And what we love about them is not only are they durable, long-lasting, they take a really unique approach towards creating markers in particular, with the color tops and the way that they blend the makeup of their actual materials. But they're committed to discovery of new artists. They're committed to diverse creators, and this is something that we really, of course, stand for tremendously. So when we work with partners, we look for partners who believe in the same things that we do in terms of, evangelizing and promoting new creators, and that's what Chameleon has done before they met us. And so it's just a natural fit. We couldn't be more proud to be working with them, and they are this year's master sponsor. What that means, of course, is that they are part of the prize packages that we'll be giving out. Now, we have some great prizes coming. We have the Illo Sketchbook. We have the 21 Draw Top Artists. So this is a product where you actually have all these great artists, people like Steve Rude and Olivier Coppel, who are part of this book, and they give you tutorials on how to draw. This is a physical book. It's not a digital product. And so lucky winner will be getting that. Illo Sketchbooks, of course, some of the best sketchbooks in the market. And we actually are going to be also promoting the one-shot editions from Jay Oden, and we'll be making sure that one lucky winner is able to walk away with that. These are some great new stories from Jay Oden, some collecting some of his older work that you've never seen before. Jay, of course, is one of our most popular creators, so we couldn't be more excited to have Jay having a chance to present more of his material to a lucky fan. You can also participate in the tournament he's got going with that right now. But of course, we'll also offer that as part of this year's March Art Madness. The Chameleon Art Products prizes consist of, again, of colored pencils, color tops, which allow you to blend your colors to create infinite color spectrums that you might want to use. Unlike other companies where you have to buy 200 some markers, with this, you're actually able to blend it and create a brand new set of colors yourself. And of course, over 50 markers that they have. These will be going out to our grand prize winners alongside of an original image drawn by Jay Oden. Jay, I know you're like, man, I didn't know I was doing all this, but you are, Jay. And it's going to be a brand new piece of art from Jay Oden. He'll be doing it with the markers, and it's going to go to a lucky winner of this prize this tournament. And then last but not least, if you want to try some March Art Madness materials, you want to try Chameleon Art Products, you can do so with a 10% discount code. It's just SATAM, SATAM. You can do that right now. You don't have to participate in the tournament. We have a lot of people who view these videos who are not in the tournament, but they love the discussion and the comedy we have in terms of just our banter back and forth. But this is an opportunity for you to actually have a chance to participate, get some great products from a great company, which is Chameleon Art Products, and you can have a chance to check out some of what they have to offer on their website. You can get 10% off just with the use of our code Saturday, or SATAM. So again, we couldn't be more excited to work with Chameleon. We couldn't be more excited to have all these great prizes coming from a variety of resources, a variety of great vendors who, again, believe in diversity. So with that being said, please go to their website, www.chameleonartproducts.com, and use that 10% offer code. Check out everything they have to offer. They are a global company. They talk to every single region that's out there and country that's out there. So you have a chance to check out the product for yourself. And of course, again, if you want to save 10%, use the offer code SATAM, SATAM. The grand prize, of course, is all that great material plus an Apple iPad and pencil. We've been doing this now for the past 2 years. It is a massive opportunity for artists to have a chance to get all this technology in one device. So folks, if you want to draw, you don't need a tablet and then draw it that you got to hook it up to your computer or your laptop. With the iPad, you get everything in one. So you have something that you can surf the internet with. You have something you can listen to music with for inspiration or mood music. You have the ability to go online and find things that you want to draw from, whether it's watching one of our videos, such as White Manga or Jay Oden, or it's having a chance to get photo references from, the Sistine Chapel, or the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or New York City, or whatever it is that you're looking to try to get information on. You can do all of that right there in the Safari browser. And then last but not least, of course, you can draw on the tablet, creating professional grade comics or illustrations right there with a variety of software. So you can do all of that with the Apple iPad. We're going to provide that alongside the Apple Pencil and all these great other items from our sponsoring vendors. Now, today's judges, of course, are myself, founder and publisher of Saturday AM. I've created some of our series, including Clock Striker. If you want to follow us, you can do so. We have Saturday AM, the Instagram handle, and that's also our handle on our Twitter account. The brand is pretty popular, I have to say, so you shouldn't have much problem finding us. You type in Saturday AM or Saturday PM in Google, alongside the word of manga. You shouldn't have any problem locating either website or either social media account. But here they are listed for Instagram, should you want to check those out. We also have Judge Jay Oden. He, of course, is the illustrator of all these great little images you're going to see on the screen. He's using some markers for this, so we can't wait to see what he comes up with additional with the chameleon markers. You saw a glimpse of it earlier as one of the prizes that we'll have. But Jay, tell everybody how you're doing today.
I'm doing good, man. I'm just drawing and having fun. So
awesome. And you're the creator of Hammer. Tell everybody about Hammer. Tell them the basic plot of Hammer.
So I am the creator of Hammer. Like Fred just said, Hammer is about this little kid named Stud who gets sucked into his father's journal, and now he has to try to find a way out while battling all the dangers around him, turning any part of his body into a hammer. So he fights monsters and goes on adventures. It's a pretty fun adventure story. I really like it, and I can't wait to actually get farther into it. But I got to finish up all these other projects I'm working on before I can dive into it as hard as I want. So.
Now, folks, Hammer runs exclusively inside of Saturday AM, but you can also find some of the chapters on our website. Of course, the new chapters will appear in our magazine, which Hammer is slated to return this summer. But more importantly, we have a Volume 1 graphic novel coming soon. It'll be available in your bookstores and such. We will advise of that with more information as soon as we finalize details on it, but we're really excited about it. Jay's worked really hard on it, and it is a fantastic series. I've been very happy, I must say, to see a number of people who not only have discovered Jay with us, but I've been seeing more and more notes of people saying, I first started learning about Saturday AM through Apple Black, but I've been reading Hammer recently and really enjoy that series. That's really exciting for me and for Jay and for everybody, because it tells us that, again, when you guys discover Saturday AM, we expose you to so many great creators that you should know about if you didn't know about them already. And Jay's one of those artists that is phenomenal. More people should know about Jay. More people will know about Jay. And we're excited to have a role to play in helping him get the exposure and the prestige he deserves. Likewise, we've got another artist in the same vein of that, and that is Mr. Blake Showers. Blake, are you there?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Blake Showers is the creator of a new series for us called Tortuga Force 5. It is for me just a great series because it captures everything that I started Saturday AM to be about, which is diversity, playing on riffs of things that are already popular, and then just a really unique sensibility that is the artist. All of our artists have that, and you can see that with Jay or Morgan Walker or Andrea Boros for Mutton Chop. But with Blake, that is a very unique aspect of Blake. Because he really has this aspect to his personality that you have a chance to see. Because he's just kind of this artist that produces content that is, I'm trying to think the best way to put this. It's kind of funky, I guess the best way I can put it. It's graffiti, it's kind of urban, it's kind of underground. Blake, tell everybody a little bit about you, your background, and then about Tortuga Force 5.
Hi, y'all. I'm Blake. Sorry about my voice. I'm kind of under the weather right now. But I'm 26 years old. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm mainly like an illustrator, like manga maker. And Tortuga Force 5 is like in the Sentai genre, kind of like how Power Rangers or like Spider-Man would be. And it's about this kid that like finds a spaceship, and well, he lives in Atlanta, but the spaceship crashes in Atlanta, and they're in need of a leader, and he decides to be the leader himself. And yeah, it's kind of funny. There's going to be a lot of cool fights in it, and I'm excited to put more out for y'all.
Now, Blake, prior to Tortuga Force 5, you have worked on Four Strikes. Can you tell everybody about that?
Yeah, that one, I've been working on maybe 5 or so years now, and it's about a kid that, well, I don't want to tell the whole thing, but a kid that has to fight demons for a very specific reason, and he's trying to balance doing that with like high school stuff as well, and it's kind of from a perspective of a black kid, so he would try to do these things, but in the way that he sees like he can do it. Like he's not really experienced in anything with dealing with demons, so he tries his best to conquer them the only way he knows how. And yeah, that one's kind of scarier than Tortuga Force 5.
Yeah, Tortuga Force 5 is a Saturday AM title. And Four Strikes is a title he did prior to that. He does it independently of Saturday AM, and so it's more adult. But it's a great series. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Again, it just captures Blake's unique artistic vision is what attracted me to Blake's work. That, and of course, when it comes to Blake, is Blake and I have a running gag. Jay and I have a running gag. When I talk to Jay, Jay to laugh at anything, and Jay will laugh at anything. But Blake will get sympathetic to anything. Like I say, Blake, that was a really cool thing you did, Blake. And he'll go, oh. And now,
every time.
Now, whenever Blake and I chat, I send him a gif of this kind of like funny looking guy, and he kind of does like this fake like oh, he just kind of like oh, and I send that to Blake to let him know how I feel whenever he's on, because I have no sympathetic bone in my body. So thank you, Blake, for being here today. We're really excited to have Blake here as well. Again, Blake is a great, both Blake and Jay are unique to me in the sense that I think, again, we get artists who want to approach us at Saturday AM. So many artists want to be like, White Manga. And that's understandable. White is one of the most incredible artists currently out there. And so his style is just so just pitch perfect in so many ways. But I think with Blake and Jay, what I love about them is that they just continue to demonstrate that you can be an extraordinary artist and operate in a different style. And Jay's style is extremely unique to him. Blake's style is extremely unique to him. And it just provides, again, that diversity that I care about, which is seeing creators of different backgrounds producing artwork that is fresh and unique. And that's what we have with both of these amazing artists. So that is our judges for today. We're hoping to get a few more. We've got some of our artists are actually working at an expo today, so we couldn't pull them away. But we do have some amazing judges next week. I can tell you that White Manga will join us next week, and then we're hopefully going to announce a very special judge as well next week that I think will excite a lot of people. So stay tuned. All right, so let's talk about Chameleon again. Every week they are recognizing a dynamic artist and sending them a particular prize package, separate from the grand prize that they'll send out. The first week was Ambar Naruto Freck from Puerto Rico. She did this beautiful, beautiful piece from round one. It featured all of the Nintendo characters in Nintendo Smash. Amber has participated in our previous March Art Madness, and she is just an amazing artist. We were blown away she didn't make it to this round. She got knocked out a little early this year, mainly because she just didn't create a dynamic image or a dynamic enough image, even though her color work is extraordinary. But she is one of my favorite artists that is not a household name. And I hope you guys will follow her on social media. And we also will be getting her that package for her Color Top Award. Likewise, for round two, Harakami Art. This young man had delivered a fantastic image his first week featuring Spider-Man. The second week, he had a great crossover between One Punch Man and My Hero Academia. Again, some really unique color work here. Chameleon recognized them and just delivered this just with this beautiful piece that he did. So they'll be sending him a special package. He is from Germany. And then last week, Chameleon recognized for their Color Top winner, Celestial Pulse, which is a young lady named Vicenia. She is still in the tournament. Both Harakami Art and Amber have been knocked out. But Vicenia is still in the tournament. She's from the U.S., and they recognize this beautiful piece here, which just has some great color work from the costumes to the actual mascots battling each other. This is Oregon Ducks versus the Tennessee Volunteers, which their mascot's a dog. And you can see the beautiful color here from the spotlights at the top to the hanging jerseys to the clothes that the mascots are playing to even the floor in the background. So this is a great piece from round 3. Who will win our round 4 color top award? We don't know. We'll find out next week. But this is a great piece, and hats off to all 3 of those winners. So with that, we're going to get ready to get started. You ready, Blake?
Yes.
Blake, you ready? Damn. You ready, Blake?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you all don't know this, but that was excitement for Blake. Jay, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes. So you see the difference there, folks? You see what I deal with? And just think, there's 14 or 16 more of these guys I deal with, girls, who have the emotional range of basically Jay Oden, who's like green. Jay's like so green it's not even registered on the green. And then Blake Showers, who is, believe it or not, he's just yellow. Blake does not work, and Blake does not work fast. Blake is just he's just neutral. You don't know if you're like supposed to go forward or stop. That is Blake. And Blake is part of a special unit in our group that I call the Slow Talking Gang. There's Blake, there's Austin, there's Barat. There's so many of these guys who just, when you talk to them, you're just like, yeah, so I would like to do. Jeffrey John Louise, who's in the chat right now. Jeffrey John Louise, the Yellow Stringer, is like he's the damn mascot of this group. They have the emotional output of a speaker that's been broken. There's no extra pump to it. Nothing. It's just sure, I'll be happy to do that. Yes. Blake, Blake, are you gonna go see Shazam this weekend? Have you seen Shazam?
No, I'm anti-DC. No, I like everything else DC. I like their animated stuff and books, but I don't like the movies.
I'll be honest with you. I heard this movie is like, I heard from a lot of people that I trust. They're like, this movie is great. I heard a lot of people say Aquaman was great, and I did enjoy Aquaman, but like this is hands down one of their best movies.
Nice.
Oh man,
I want to watch it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I mean, I was going to read. Have you guys read the Jeff Johns run of DC when he did the Shazam? Like he reinvented Shazam. Did you guys read that? I
read a few issues. I remember.
It was really good. It was really, really good. And I think they pulled a lot of that from that. But anyways, yeah, it's I've heard really good things about it. I'm actually eager to see it. I wasn't eager to see it. The trailers didn't grab me, but I'm actually eager to see it. I think DC might be pulling it around now because Aquaman was pretty good. Wonder Woman was decent, and Shazam's supposed to be the real deal, man. So we'll see. That Joker trailer. You guys seen the Joker trailer?
I have not.
You haven't seen the Joker trailer, Jay?
I have not. I will look that up after this.
You need to see it, man. That thing is. Have you seen it, Blake?
Yeah, it's really different. I like that they took a different route with it.
Really different, Jay. Like I'm curious to see what you think about that, Jay, because that trailer is like, wow, like it's wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. Hopefully the movie will be that good. But anyways, all right, let's get ready to rumble. That's not a trademark. I mean, it is a trademark, but I didn't say it that way. All right, so folks, this week, round 4, we have themes. The themes are different per group. Now, as you guys know, we begin with 64 artists, and we split them up into 4 separate teams. The teams are Team Clock Striker, Team Bullet Eater, Team Apple Black, and Team Saigami. We began with 16 artists in each one of those brackets, and they battle it out. And after that first week, we go down to 32 artists, and then after that, we go down to 16 artists, but they're all still broken up in their group. This week is all about determining what artist is going to represent which team next week in our final round. So there's only 2 artists for each one of these teams, and each artist is producing artwork that is a comic book page. And what they're putting on the comic book page depends on the theme that we gave them. So in this case, for Team Clock Striker, we have focused on manga-oriented content. So we have 2 artists, the final 2 artists out of the first 16 that were in this particular team. And so really excited to see what you guys think of this. Now, remember, folks, as always, you can go vote. You can still go vote. Voting is not in until tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, April the 7th. So you may still go vote even while we're talking or after we finish this call. But what you're getting now are going to be the judge votes that we will provide, which are weighted votes that can help determine who moves on to the next round. So with that being said, for Team Clock Striker, their focus was manga comic book pages. They had to tell a story on one page featuring manga style artwork. The 2 artists we have here are George Brooks, and he's going up against, I forgot who he's going up against. Who's he going up against, Jay? Do you know?
Celestial Pulse.
Celestial Pulse with Cinia. All right. So this first image here is from Paradise Down. So we actually took Paradise Down and decided to create that as a comic book page.
Wait, it's not Paradise Down. It's Promised Neverland. That's what it is.
Down, damn. Wow. All right. All right. So then, so let's begin with you, Jay. Since you know so much, what do you make about this?
I know enough. I like this a lot. When I was writing my notes for everything, I separated art and then comic book page. So as art, I really like the tones. I really like all the line arts. It's simplistic, it's minimalistic. So I mean, it's really good storytelling. And as a comic, I think it's really easy to read. It's very clear and simple. It's a very soft scene too, not many, words going on, but the actions are, obvious and, just really peaceful, and it flows very well. So I like this a lot. My only gripe I would say is maybe, like, I don't know, like there could have been a little bit more probably effort in terms of maybe if you're going to like add a color or, try to pull out more and show more background. But overall, I really like this page a lot.
Blake, what about you?
I really like their use of changing the camera. That's something I always look at in mangas. Like if the camera changes and it's not just the same like scene like shown in the same way. And I really like in the 5th panel where it's like you can see the house in the background, then you see the kid, and you see like the other kids in the foreground. I think that was done really well, and just the overall feel of it. I like how, like, I guess not simple, but how calming like this looks. The only thing I would suggest is maybe going more deep into like shading and coloring. I guess like grayscale coloring it, and just making it more differentiated. But other than that, it really looks nice. I like it.
Yeah, so Blake makes a good point. I noticed it as well. I think and the question here is how much of that comes from the artist's ability versus the tools that they use and the manner in which they decided to direct the page. And so by that, what I mean is, so it feels awfully flat, and which is odd because there's no action here. It's all emotion, which is really cool. And I give George Brooks credit for this, but it does feel very flat. And so this is where artistically, like as many artists will tell you that, and that's why we chose this theme this year. Drawing illustrations is one thing. You could be the best artist in the world and draw some of the most amazing illustrations. To call yourself a comic book artist would be a bit of a misnomer, however, because if you can't draw panel to panel, page after page, you're not really a comic book artist. Now, you might be a comic book cover artist, and there certainly are plenty of those artists. But to be a comic book artist, you have to actually draw panel to panel, and that's a different skill set than just being able to draw. So George Brooks, He really surprised us this year because he came in. We had never heard of him. He was able to join the group outright. So he came in with some great content. His first image was a really strong piece featuring Kingdom Hearts. Second piece, to me wasn't as dramatic in terms of how strong it was, but then the third week he really delivered with this beautiful Purdue Boilermakers, because we had an NCAA crossover event where we were targeting college mascots. So did a really interesting job here with that. And that allowed him to beat Ambar Naruto Freck, who we thought would be probably one of the finalists because she's that strong of an artist. This one, is clearly something different for him. He's stepping a bit out of the comfort zone of drawing really great illustrations and moving more in the realm of drawing, having to draw, having to depict action from panel to panel. I think this week, today's show, we're going to see a lot of artists who we know are really amazing artists who suffer at the comic book artist page, because if it's not a question of layout, it's a question of just being able to really deliver each panel with a sense of gravity and a sense of dimension to it, where it feels like there's real emotion and interesting things happening. So I think that's an interesting aspect to this, because it does seem very flat to me, like a lot of the character, they just feel flat. Like when Norman, I think, is sliding next to Emma. Like I don't, it just feels very stiff, feels very static. There's not, even though he's moving, there's not a lot of emotion in that scene. When Ray is coming up the hill, we see a bit of a house in the background, but even that doesn't quite feel spatially correct in terms of Norman, Norman and Emma and Ray. Like there's some dimension there, and I think some of that could have come down to just the shading and how he worked to effectively have used the shading to give the characters a bit more weight and to give, therefore, their sense in place in terms of where they are and where they are in relationship to things in the background, better dimension. Again, I don't know why that's the case. Like I would have loved some cell shading basically on Emma and Norman. It could have just made them feel less stiff and less very simple. But all in all, I like it. I think one of the biggest challenges, as these guys know, is your page layout. And there's some things here that aren't great, but there's some other pieces here that are more effective than we'll see later. Panel to panel, there's some more things that are working here, I think, overall. So again, it's not a bad attempt. I wish, because again there wasn't color on this page, I wish that there had been some more weight given to, or more worth given to the shading and maybe some cell shading, just to give some sense of weight and dimension and personality to the page, because to me it just feels very flat. I don't know if you guys felt that way at all, but to me it felt very flat on that end.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's probably because of the cameras. I mean, it's just, if he would have pulled out a little more, I think, and showed the background, it definitely would have felt a little bit less flat. But also, I think this is the only black and white comic book page, so I mean, maybe that's why too. So
it is, yeah. All right. Well, next up, then, his competitor is Celestial Pulse. This is Vicinia, as we talked about earlier. Now, she was ranked number 5 coming into this tournament. Very, very talented young woman. She's had some strong pieces each and every week, and this is her first comic book page layout. Let me start with you, Blake. What did you make of this?
This one, I was excited to see how she'd handle it. Like she's really good at colors and stuff, and the thing that popped out to me the most is how she used the last panel and made it kind of like a overall set into the action, and I thought that was really good because it made my eye go directly to is it Hidie? I don't know how to pronounce his name, I forget, but it made me go directly down to when he's doing the dragon thing or whatever, and I think that was just a well constructed page.
What about you, Jay? What do you make of this?
Yeah, I totally agree. It was really easy to read. The last panel was a nice climax for this particular page. It was just one page, but I mean the actions are very clear. The colors are very bright. It's not overwhelming. I mean I think somebody else tried to do what she did, and I feel like she definitely accomplished it a lot more. Whereas having the last panel essentially be the entire page and just have panels like over that. There's somebody else that did that too, and I think she did it way better. And I don't know, I really like this picture a lot. This entire page. And Hiei, that's his name. And Darkness, Dragon of the Darkness Flame. I don't remember him fighting this particular demon, but I mean, I assume it's just fan art, and it was really cool to look at. So I like this page a lot.
So if those of you who are new to Saturday AM, new to our YouTube broadcast, or just us in general, I am the old guy. I do not know this property. I believe I talked to someone the other day and told me it was Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I never watched Yu Yu Hakusho, so there you go. Is that what this is, Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
The Dark Tournament. Dark Tournament.
Whatever. I thought that was Blanca from Free Butter. I truly had no idea what I was looking at. A couple of things here. I think these two images to me are very similar. The image we saw before from George O'Brooks and this one. And let me explain a little bit why. I think, again, the reason we go with comic pages because, it's a challenge. That's what Martial Art Madness is all about. Like, if you just want to draw pictures, there are plenty of tournaments to enter. We're not the tournament for you. And we're going to see that we had an artist who wasn't able to compete this week. But this is meant to be tough. This is not meant to be easy. This is meant to be tough. When I look at this, like the previous piece, I feel like there were choices made here that I didn't quite enjoy. So in the last piece, the Promised Neverland piece, I thought it just looked too flat. He could have added color, and it could have brought more personality and dimension to the page and made it feel more interesting. Because again, it was a very simple scene, right? There's no action there, so in a lot of ways that's harder. And I think because of that, I give George Brooks a lot of credit because he could have gone the easy route and done action. Obviously, Vicinian went that route, so that's great. But to be clear, that's the easier route, right? That's the easier route. So I give George Brooks credit for that. The problem was that because he didn't put any color in it and he didn't play with contrast, with cell shading or toning, it just feels stiff and flat, and that gives you nothing. Particularly, when you just got characters sitting around enjoying the sky, right? Imagine had he actually colored it, and we could saw a beautiful blue sky. Even though that panel is relatively sparse, and a lot of the other panels are relatively sparse, seeing that beautiful blue sky or that sunny sky would have just given that page some personality and some interesting aspects to it. With this one, to me, it was the exact opposite. It was like, the layout itself was not as intriguing to me because this is a weird layout, to be clear. These kind of like, very small line panels. They're not like any sort of symmetry to them, so they're kind of broken up and stuff. And of course, that's dynamic, so hats off to Vicinian for that. But I didn't care for the character art here. Like, the character art to me didn't quite look as strong as we know Vicinian can do. Vicinian is a much stronger artist, and I think we see here. And what I think is interesting, and this is something we talked about last week about how artists hide what they do. I don't care. The character art to me is not good. The first panel, the second panel, a little bit the third panel. Even though the third panel looks a little weird because somehow that character, the Yu Hakusho guy, looks much smaller in that panel. And from a perspective standpoint, that shouldn't be the case. He's not illustrated to be that short. I don't imagine, based on the way the other panels look. He looks extremely short, and that's just a question of perspective and the artist's inability to capture that perspective, which I think is driven by the design choice of that panel. But what she does to hide it is a really good panel, even though the same problems are there, but she hides it with a really cool panel at the very bottom that breaks the plane. And so your eyes looking at that, and you're like, oh man, that's really cool. But you pay less attention to all the things that happened before then in terms of how difficult it is. So I think the first panel is better than the other two panels. The other two panels are not great, and the final panel is really the page itself. That's the actual image is the final panel. All the other panels just kind of like filler for what she's doing in that final panel. And what frustrates me in the final image is that had it been more dynamic, the absolute weight and power of that character slamming this giant character into the ground would have been felt. There would have been more debris coming up. The legs would be in a far more dramatic, situation. They would have been splayed a bit more dramatically, because that the character's taking his head and smashing into the ground, so all the other extremities should kind of fly up, in this kind of weird, kind of just weird sort of placement. But that's not it. It's kind of flat. It's kind of stayed. Again, the characters seem to be kind of off because I don't think the character is that big in the first panel, even though the camera angle is not capturing just right. It looks like it should be the character. The camera angle is not capturing it right, nor is she drawing it correctly. The third panel really is off because he looks literally like a midget or a small person next to this giant. But then when we see him on top of that, so the character at the bottom, there's no way that character was that big. If what we see here is being drawn. So these are nitpicks, but that's precisely what this term is about, is trying to uncover the best absolute artwork. So, and I get that he's a short character by stature. I get that, but not the way it's been depicted here. So to me, the George O. Brooks page loses personality because he didn't put any color to it or any shading or any perspective, and therefore whatever limitations he may have as an artist is amplified because the page is flat, looks stiff, looks static. This one, very similar aspects are being done with that. There's some stiffness here. There's some poor aspects here regarding whether or not the characters are actually drawn correctly. Perspective seems off. But then you get a really cool image at the end, and then she's got awesome color work throughout. So that masks so many of these pieces that don't quite work for me. This is a great image for what it is, but I don't think it's dramatically better than George Brooks. And I don't think this is anywhere close to Vicinia's best work. I think in both cases, the artist suffered because they're used to drawing illustrations. They're used to possibly to having more time. And in this case, obviously, you got a week. You got to come up with the concept. You got to illustrate it. And we see, I think, the limitations in both cases for both these artists. So those are my thoughts. But now, with that being said, though, we obviously have a decision to make. Who is it that's going to advance in this matchup? So does anyone want to add anything before we go to voting? Jay or Blake?
No, I don't got anything to add.
Same.
All right, then let's go backwards. Oh, dang it. All right, so going backwards here, we have George O. Brooks. He has the Promised Neverland page. The three main protagonists chilling in a white sky, which is the name of my next novel. Jay, do you think George wins this matchup?
This was a hard one for me. I really like this one, but I mean, I don't know. The color just pops out and stands out a little more, so I got to go with Celestial.
All right. What about you, Blake? Who do you think wins this matchup?
I'm just gonna have to say Celestial, just from the color, kind of bringing it up a little more, like making it pop a bit more. But if they were both black and white, I'd have to pick George. But
wait, I'm sorry, I missed that. I missed that because, of course, it's taking you 5 hours to tell me who are you voting for, Celestial Pulse or for George O. Brooks?
Celestial.
Okay. So yes, I'm voting for Celestial Pulse as well. And again, like I said, look, I mean, criticisms aside, and those are legitimate criticisms. I'll say, as I said before, I'll say again, the last image where the character is smashing the character into the ground is not great, but it's really great in comparison to anything that was on George O. Brooks' page. It's really great in terms of the color, and it's really great in terms of the character art on that character for the entire page. Like, that one character looks the best in this one image. Everything else doesn't work for me as much, but the color work and that particular one image is worth the price of admission. Obviously, we get 3 other panels to look at, and again, in this case, I don't think the 3 other panels work as well. But the color work, particularly the color work related to the character and his energy thing, whatever it's called, the black foot, black stomp, black whatever, is really cool. And I think Vicini did a great job with that. So I think right now we got 3 people who are providing a win for Celestial Pulse. So as of now, Celestial Pulse is going to win this match. You can speak up and give us your thoughts, not by an email, not by a text message, not by a comment here in the live chat. Go to our website, www.saturday.com. I'm sorry, saturday-am.com/madness. Go there and vote. Go vote for your favorite artist in each of these matchups. You have until 6 p.m. tomorrow evening to make your voice heard. And if you've already voted, go tell a friend, go tell a fan of comic art, go tell a family member, but have them go vote as well. Let's get as many people to find out about these great artists as possible. All right, so now Team Saigami. Again, start with 16 artists. These are the final two. The question is, who's going to represent Team Saigami in the final four? The theme were Pokemon comic pages. So now they could create their own Pokemon. They could, bring together different Pokemon. They could do whatever they wanted to as related to Pokemon. So with that being the case, we begin with Adrian Art XV. Adrian had a great kind of track record as well throughout this tournament. We didn't really know who he was. Didn't know what to expect from him. And he's delivered solid piece after solid piece. Some better than others. I think last week was his absolute weakest week. The image that he did for the NCAA crossover with Texas Tech and the Gonzaga Bulldogs. But, Texas Tech won 2 surprising matchups. So he got some bonus points there. The color work was exceptional. And it was a tough one between him and the other artists, but he had enough with those bonus points and stuff to push his way through. So Adrian here has a really unique setup here. Pokken Combat, which is the setup for the which is the original name of Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken. Let me start with you, Jay. What do you make of this image from Adrian?
So, okay, so for the art, I really think that all the figures look pretty good. The facial expressions are pretty nice. The action is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, if it was by itself, I feel like the action would be really good. As a comic, this page is very busy. It's pretty difficult to see what the next panel that you have to look at. It's not really flowing as well as it could. I feel like every panel, well, I mean, I know for sure that every panel should, lead you to the next panel, lead your eye throughout the entire page. And this page, unfortunately, just doesn't do that. I do, however, like the colors. I think that, it's very reminiscent of just like an anime that I would watch. So I don't know. I like certain things about this, but other things kind of rule out, me loving this page. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about some aspects of this in a minute, but let me get Blake's thoughts. Blake, what did you make of Adrian's page and her piece?
This one, it was like kind of what Jay was saying. It was like kind of busy. I know that I'm like I like that, but at the same time I don't. The top panel I really like because they incorporated like the actual background and like the stadium, and I know how like that's like a real important part of the whole like Pokken tournament, like is the backgrounds and like where you're fighting it. And another thing I liked about it is like including the trainer in most of these panels because that's like a real in-depth thing about the game. Like it's like you and that Pokemon, like the trainer is just just as much of a part of that battle as the Pokemon. And I think the last panel is really good because it shows like that team like dynamic thing that is in the Pokken tournament game or whatever. And it kind of wraps it up as like, hey, we're both in this together. And I like it. It's just I wish if this were like split into 2 pages, it would be even better.
So, yeah, I mean, so I think both of you are being way too nice. I think you both are being way too nice. I do not think I am the Simon Cowell of this stuff, but I think I tend to be the only one who actually talks consistently about what this tournament's about. First of all, look, there's a lot of clever things he did here. First of all, the name of the two competitors is him and the artist he was going up against. So I thought that was a really cute and clever thing to do. I don't know if JT Lucas looks like that. I don't know if Adrian RSV looks like that, but that's what they were. That's
I think that's their avatars.
Okay, yeah. So that was an interesting thing. So when you hear people talk about movies or books, sometimes one of the complaints that you'll hear is, and one of the things that my guys, Blake and Jay and some of our staff and all of our artists have heard me talk about is sometimes you give a creator so much rope that they hang themselves with it. And it's a morbid analogy, to be sure, but it is a true analogy in the sense that sometimes when you give somebody so much room to do whatever they want, then they collapse under the weight of all of the opportunities that they're being given. And I think this is a good example of that. So I don't think this is a strong piece at all. I think that the color work is amazing, but Adrian has been one of the best colorists in the tournament thus far. Like, I fully thought he would have won one of Chameleon's awards up until now. There's still some more, weekly prizes that we'll be doing at the end of the tournament. Some people that will be recognized at the end of the tournament. And he very well could be on that list. His very first piece that he did was an anime style piece. It looked like something, frankly, the Ambar Naruto Freck would have done. Because I remember she did a piece like that her first week of 2018 tournament. It was a beautiful anime, character piece. Had Spike Spiegel and Cowboy Bebop and Trigun and Neon Evangelion and all that stuff. So, so his color work has never been a question, ever. I mean, like I said about Amber 2018, these are sort of artists that, they are artists, but they easily could be colors. They could have a very healthy career just coloring art because they're so good at it. That's about as far as I think this piece really goes. I think that, yes, if you want to go to the first panel, I don't watch Pokemon. I do not know about the environment thing that Blake was talking about. If this captures that, then fantastic. But that's not really, for me, something that I think is particularly interesting. Where this loses me is exactly what I said. There's too much going on here. And there was no reason to have this much stuff going on here. This is literally youth and unfamiliarity with this sort of effort. I don't know if Adrian's ever done a web comic or a comic. I don't know if he wants to do one, but this represents the weakness of that. Because there's no need to have the faces of these characters in here in, what's this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, first of all, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 panels on one page, which you have to be an exceptional artist to pull that off. I mean, people like Will Eisner can do that. People like, Jim Aparo and George Perez. You guys need to look up these artists, by the way. If you don't know who good classic artists are, you need to look them up, because I think part of the problem with a lot of young creators is they don't know the history. They don't know good artists. They just know what they like because they read it for free on scanlated websites. But go and actually look up some of these actual classic artists of American comic books and learn the history of comics. Doing lots of panels is not something any artist does. You won't see Jim Lee doing lots of panels. You won't see many artists doing lots of panels. You won't see Todd McFarlane doing it. You won't see Joe Madrier doing it. But for really, really skilled artists, you'll see it. And therefore, you have to be really skilled to do it. I don't think Adrian is quite at that level yet. And what shows here, first of all, is the fact that, again, the characters of these Pokemon are in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 11 panels. You have to ask yourself, like, why are they in so many panels? They're not doing anything except screaming. What was the thought process of putting them in all those panels? And if they are the avatars of the two people, well, you know what? No one knows what Adrian Art V looks like, and no one is signing up to buy a comic book featuring Adrian Art XV. It wasn't called Adrian Art XV. It was called Pokemon. So you had a chance to put more Pokemon and showcase your ability to draw them, and you chose to just draw yourself. And that is already problematic to me, because that shows a complete lack of understanding of what it is you're actually tasked to do. But then on top of having the faces there, by the way, the faces aren't communicating anything extraordinary here. It's just a headshot. It's not like there's not tremendous facial expressions here. That's not Adrian Strong's suit is doing amazing facial expressions like Nathaniel or Nat, what is it, Nat HQ art or something like that. Like that's not many artists' ability. That's not Adrian's ability. So that's not really being captured here. But the problem with that is that, so again, we got too many panels. We have too many panels showing the faces or heads of artists, these people that aren't necessary. And so what gets sacrificed are the actual Pokemon. And so much so that again, just like I said with Selenia's piece, with Celestial's piece, sorry, Vicinia's piece, is that you look and you see art, you see the Pokemon, and they don't have any frame of reference to each other. So if I go off the first panel, they are the same height. If I go off the third panel, it's kind of a weird way set up because it doesn't, it's just a weird sort of panel. Like, by the way, folks, never do an action panel. Vicinia did this very well, at least in her final panel, but never do an action panel that's the size of like my thumb. Like that's not, nobody's watching an action panel. You can't draw detail like that. So we got a panel where the flame character is kicking over the other character's head. You can really, it's not well drawn, it's not well captured because it's the size of a toothpick. And then we get the close-ups of both characters, which can work in manga. We've seen that done before, and there's nothing wrong with the way that's presented. But then we get another image here where he's capturing this guy's foot, and now all of a sudden the flame guy is literally like 2 times smaller than he's supposed to be, because he's supposed to be the same height as the other guy. Now, I'm sure, just like someone tried to tell me how Vicinia's character is meant to be 4'11", which is ridiculous, and it still didn't change the fact of how you presented in the way that image looked. But now we get this concept to where I'm sure someone's going to say, well, you understand, see, the way his flame powers work is that it makes him smaller when he kicks out with his flame. I'm sure I'm going to hear some excuse for that, but it's not an excuse that's worth giving because the image just doesn't work. It doesn't work. So then we get a panel of both characters being shocked. For what reason, I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're shocked about, because then they have sync level 100. So we have literally a wasted panel of them being shocked, then another panel of them being in sync, then another panel that's saying max sync attack, and then the two of them then doing something. JT, we're gonna see next that JT didn't submit anything, and I'm upset about that, because we made this clear the last couple of weeks. If you knew you couldn't compete, then you don't wait until the last minute to tell us, and like that frustrates me to no end, because it's really a betrayal of all the other artists who have to work hard every single week. I mean, it really is. If you knew you had something to do, then you need to tell us in advance you can't do it. And what really frustrates me about it is because I don't think this piece is particularly strong. I don't think for a second this piece is particularly strong. I think had another artist been able to get in there, they would have given Adrian a much better challenge than he's going to get because of that. Because I don't think this piece is strong at all. I don't think these are the right choices to make. I don't think any panel really shines. I don't understand why I'm looking at this avatar character featured on this artwork at all. I don't know what that was for. It's called Pokemon. We get very little Pokemon in exchange for a bunch of human characters who aren't even showing us anything unique or interesting. And then the Pokemon characters as well. They might have been interesting designs. I don't know if they're original designs or designs that already exist, but it's a shame I can't see them because they've been micro-sized to give us a lot of panels of Adrian, and I think that's just silly. So this is not a good piece at all. I'm stunned that the two of you are trying to be nice about this. This would not fly at Saturday AM at all. I mean, you all would know that. So anyway, yeah. So color work's great though. Hats off to Adrian for color work. But I'm really disappointed and a little frustrated with JT that he let us know literally at the last second that he wasn't going to be in this week's tournament, because we could have gone another artist. There are so many great artists like Anbar Valdez Council who didn't make it, and they missed it literally by points, who could have been in this tournament and could have given Adrian a hell of a lot better challenge than what he's going to get. So that's that to me is interesting. This is JT's piece, and again, I give JT a lot of credit for attempting this, but this is still really shameful. Like, hey, great, you drew a picture to write us a note and tell us you couldn't do it, but this should have been something, and we made this very clear last week. If you could not make it, let us know early. and maybe we can get other artists in to participate. And I just find this, frankly, just a bit cocky that you would wait until the last minute, put together kind of a little image, and then present it and say, oh, hey, I want to just create this image and let you guys know I couldn't be in it. But that's not how that works. And Adrian had said something to me as well, saying like, yeah, he told me he couldn't be in. I'm like, well, I should have been told that. I don't care the two of you talk. I should have been told that. Because again, we would have put someone in there who could have been a good challenge, because that's what this is about. It's about a good challenge. And so I'm really frustrated with JT on this. But nonetheless, because I think he would have given a great challenge, obviously. But nonetheless, I'm not particularly impressed with this page from Adrian. So, any comments, Jay or Blake?
Comments on JT's piece?
Comments in general.
Okay, well, in general, yeah, I agree with you. We are obviously, I guess being too nice. I mean, I get what you're saying. Because, I mean, if this was in Saturday AM, it wouldn't fly. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking about it in a different way. So, I mean, if you really want, like, my harshness to come out, then, I mean, I would...
No. I mean, I'm not interested in it now. I mean, so let's be clear. I mean, the same with look, folks. I know a lot of y'all listening to saying, like, man, Fred's real harsh. I'm harsh to these guys as well. And so let me be harsh right now. Don't all of a sudden now have professional bona fides that you sacrificed a second ago when I gave you a chance to talk. If you didn't,
well, no. What I was gonna say was, if you want my harshness from now on, I'll give more of a harsh answer.
It's not a question. I mean, when you're harsh, you should be giving it regardless. I mean,
yeah. I mean, exactly. I'll be a lot more critical. But what I would say is, it is very unfortunate that JT did not do a comic book page, because I mean, the piece that he put up, it looks cool if it was just an image. If this was just to draw an image, then I mean, yeah, of course, JT, I think would look a lot better. But I mean, it's not a comic, and that's it. I agree with you. It's very frustrating because I was looking forward to seeing what he was going to come up with too. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm yeah. Anyways, so any other comments, Blake? Anything you want to add?
No, I feel you with the JT image though. I understand that was kind of like he could have told you like way in advance if he couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've literally had some amazing artists. I mean, I feel bad when we, because there have been some really extraordinary artists who just, I mean, they legitimately got beat, but again, they got beat by like, we're talking like 2 points, 3 points. I mean, these are great artists like Nat HQ from Canada, Ambar Vedas Council from Puerto Rico. Like, there's some amazing artists. Like, they could have been in this. And so if you're an artist and you're still in this thing and you're like, oh crap, I got something coming, I can't do it. You don't wait till the last minute to tell us that. That's just the height of unprofessionalism. I don't care what the excuse is. You let us know in advance. And because obviously you're not going to be in a tournament if you can't be in it. So we're not going to award you an iPad because you somehow got by because you submitted something like this. Like, I think that's going a bit too far in terms of just common sense. But anyways, votes, Adrian RXV.
It's the only comic up, so yeah.
Blake.
Same.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I actually not the same. You don't have to vote. I'm not voting either one of these pieces. I feel like this is, like I said, this to me was just this was disappointing all the way around. And like I said, I'm particularly disappointed when I got to know from Adrian, because we had cut some of his images off, and which was a mistake. So we fixed that, and it's been fixed now for quite some time on the website. So if you go there, you'll see the full image like this. But he was like, "Well, we had talked," and I'm like, "I don't care the two of you talked. That's not your job to talk to each other and then hide it from me. Like, I'm the one who needs to find out whether or not, because I made this very clear 2 weeks in a row that this has been frustrating to us, that there are artists, good artists, who missed out despite having worked hard and done their stuff for whatever reason. It could have been, someone got more family members out to vote, not because we gave them less votes, but because someone got a few more family members out to vote for them, and therefore they slipped by a really good artist like that. That's happened. And so it's really, really disappointing to then fall into a situation where an artist can't do it, and then we find at the last minute. Like, that's not at all appropriate. And so then, like I said, now look at this. And again, I love the idea. I mean, Adrian is extremely talented, super, super colorist. And I love the idea of this. But like I said, there's too much stuff here. Again, I'm not sure what that says, that he decided to put himself in 6 out of 11 panels. You did need 11 panels. You don't need to put yourself in 6 out of 11 panels. And then beyond that, it's about Pokemon. So take the effort to actually make a really good Pokemon image. That's what you're being judged on. You're not being judged on whether or not you can draw yourself. So like I said, neither one of these guys are getting a vote for me on this. It's really just that's not a great place there. Folks, again, you get to decide however how you choose to feel. In this particular round, Adrian RXV gets 2 judge votes out of 3. Our staff will be voting as well, so we'll see where they fall in line with this. And you can vote, of course. The public can vote. I have seen a few people voting for JT Lucas for some reason. I don't know why, but folks, you are able to vote. So feel free to go in and vote at www.saturday-am.com/madness. I assume they want to see, which I wanted to see, what JT could do had he gone on. But to me, that's a tough one to find yourself in a position to get an iPad and you missed a week. I don't think that's a fair way to do that. They certainly would not. They would not get the big votes from the staff if that were to happen, if they were to make it to the final week. But there are some people who are voting for J2, so have at it. Go to the website and make your vote heard. Next up, we have Team Apple Black, and the theme here was mecha comic pages. So it's some really cool mecha-inspired imagery. And this is featuring a couple of really great artists as well. We're going to see who gets to represent Team Apple Black. And one thing I can say is that this is an interesting setup here, because these are 2. Now, this is what I wanted to see. And as we just indicated, this is what frustrated me with some of the other groups is, there are some really dynamite artists that we were looking forward to seeing. Now, had we been choosing who would make it to each round, had we been making the sole choice, trust me, you would have seen a couple of other artists instead of the ones you've seen thus far, because there's some really great artists that we wanted to see go up against each other. This group right here definitely has that. These are 2 extraordinary artists. Either one of them is a real contender to win this whole tournament, and you're going to get to see their work now. So first up, we have Scion Arts. Whoops, went too fast. We have Scion Arts. She has a Power Rangers inspired comic book page. Now she went with a horizontal or double page spread, I would reckon, versus a traditional horizontal page. I'm going to start with you, Blake. What did you make of, since you are the person who does Tortuga Force 5, what did you make of this Power Rangers page?
Really, I love this one so much just because of how everything's set up. Like, she showed the Megazord, she showed the team, she showed the bad guys in the background, and it's so well done and so well thought of. Like, every aspect of the Power Rangers, it looks like it's there. Like, even how she has the panels. Like, I like the horizontal aspect of it because it gives you enough room to show everybody instead of it going all the way down, and it wouldn't seem like a good way to show a group or show a lot of people in this. But yeah, this one I really liked a whole lot. And even color wise, everything, nothing looks out of place. Like, all the colors look really good. They all match with each other. And yeah, I think this piece is just a really, really good piece.
Yep. Jay, what did you make of this?
So this to me looks like more of a poster than a comic book page. Art wise, it's phenomenal. I think that all the figures look really nice. The colors obviously are great. It was pretty nostalgic because I loved Power Rangers, but it's difficult to read because of so much going on. So if this was just a normal comic page looking at it, I would not know exactly what's to read next. After I read that first yellow box that it kind of introduces who the Power Rangers are, where do you go next? Your eye will just immediately go to where it says finally after 1,000 years I'm free, as opposed to the blue one. So that kind of throws me off. The panel lines, I think, are a little bit too thin, especially the one showing what's his name, Zord's face in the background. It kind of gets lost in all the purple back there. I do, like I said, like all of the figure works and showing like the bad guys and stuff. But this entire this round was about mecha. So I mean, I really wish that maybe the Megazord was doing something else instead of just standing there. Because even though it looks beautiful, I mean, it wasn't necessarily, hey, draw Power Rangers. Maybe if they were all in their own Megazords or forming one Megazord, like that would have been really cool. But overall, I mean, as an image, I like it a lot. As a comic book page, it doesn't translate well.
Yeah, so I am in between both of you. I was not as impressed as Blake was with this. My thoughts were similar to Jay's in the context of the art, of the layout. I mean, that said, I mean, again, being an older person who grew up with American comic books and reading a ton of American comic books from DC, Marvel, and various stuff. This is not a layout I've not seen before. I've seen a layout similar to this, and so it does work for me. Like I'm not as disappointed in it or fractured by it because it is such an odd layout to a comic page. I've seen this done before. I can't name where I've seen it done before, but I've seen this style done before. I'm drawing I feel pretty sure I've seen some stuff like this done with DC back in the mid 80s. I remember a book called History of the DC Universe, which was a comic book, even though it was a different sort of comic book. This layout reminds me a lot of that. So not a traditional comic book page by any stretch of the imagination, but not out of line. I put it like that, not out of line. The Megazord thing is what bothered me more. The fact that, again, it's about mecha, kind of like we were talking about with Adrian just now. With the Pokemon, it's about mecha. We have one hidden image of the mecha. That being said, it's a damn good looking image of the mecha. Like, I mean, it does look really damn good. The purple does not bother me as much, although Jay's point is extremely valid. And I do love the fact that Simon was able to incorporate so many different elements of Power Rangers. By the way, a series I know nothing about, so I'm not someone who can look at this and go, oh yeah, it's this person, that person. I know nothing about it. I don't know what I'm looking at. I assume all these are major pieces of the franchise. Kind of like I was saying with Adrian though in the last panel or last team. A little disappointed again with the layout because yes, I would like to see more of the Megazord, and then two, the last three panels at the bottom do nothing for me. The third panel does in terms of showing the woman, and to some degree, out of the first or second panel does, because it obviously is kind of a lead up to this evil figure. But I'm not sure that I needed three of them to do that. And so to Jay's point, and to the point I made earlier with Adrian, if you're gonna do something unique like this, you're gonna try to throw in the kitchen sink. Be smart and don't take all the opportunity we're giving you to hang yourself. And that's not quite here the way that Adrian's was, but it does. I'm looking at it, thinking to myself, like, you could have given us an actual picture of the Zord. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Zord kills monsters, at the end of every episode or whatever. And so it's like we could have gotten that with this layout, in one of these 3 panels at the bottom, as opposed to 2 design-oriented panels, one with a freaking mouth on it. I don't know why that's on there I don't know why that's on there at all. We could have gotten at least maybe one panel of the Zord, like actually an action scene, and that would have given me a better sense of this person honoring the whole mecha thing. That said, the color work, as Sign has done time and time again, is exceptional. The figure work, even though it's supposed to be mecha, the figure work is great. The mecha does look good, though. I got to say, like, that mecha looks great. I mean, even though it's in a different perspective. Look, the perspective is fantastic. Like, it's not a perspective where you look at it, you're like, oh, it's kind of weird because the face wouldn't be like that if it's at that angle. No, everything looks pretty damn good in terms of the way it's presented and the way it's shown. I assume those are monsters at the top, middle, the silhouettes. Those look great. You got the earth in the background. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here, to be clear. There's some choices, though, again, I feel like were choices that did not need to be made and lessen how good of a piece this is because of poor choices. But and it's not really a comic page in terms of what we traditionally think of as it. So some disappointment But by and large, though, impressed a lot with the pieces that they did do. They did them exceptionally well, like some of the earlier entries we talked about tonight. Um, their opponent, Jason Ash 263, who's really coming to his own. Scion, we were impressed with her from the get go. Jason S, we didn't know what to expect, and Jason S has delivered one bomb piece after another. His weakest piece was the first week. Ever since then, he's just gone from strength to strength to strength to strength. And we've seen some of the other artists like Georgia Brooks, started strong, dipped, then came back really good in round 3. Adrian RXV had a really good piece one week, had a really poor piece, I think, 1 week. There was the NCAA week as well. And this piece again, I'm not a fan of it. But Jason S here, he has been on fire ever since that first week. And the first week was okay. It wasn't a great image. And it's like he kind of retooled and started delivering us more finite, strong pieces. And this is just a great piece. This is probably the best piece we've seen thus far in the tournament because it's consistent. It stays on its message. It stays on its target. Everything is spaced correctly. The backgrounds are well filled out. The color work is exceptional. The character work is fantastic. The text is legible. It makes sense. And it's stylish in its own way. This, to me, so far is my favorite piece I've seen tonight. What did you make of this piece, Jay?
Yeah, I agree. It's very simple and yet very detailed. I mean, it's telling a story. It's, pretty funny. The color work is absolutely incredible. The line art is, really good, even though it's very subtle. Overall, like this entire image is just, phenomenal. I like it a lot. It reads the most like a comic out of every other entry I've seen thus far.
All right. Blake, what about you?
I think it looks really nice. The thing that caught my eye at first was the background in the first panel, and I like how they had like the little Saturday AM foot on one of the signs. That was cool. And just the style of it, I really like. It's not like too much going on. The pink really stands out from the background because it's more of like a muted bluish, greenish tone in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's short and to the point, and yeah, it reads well. Like I'm not like confused where to go, and I would like to see what else like what happened after this.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, this is great. I agree as well about the hues. I mean, he, kind of like Impy. We'll talk about Impy here shortly in the next team, but kind of like Impy, he does something particular with his color work. He really leans on those purple hues. He did it the first week with the Captain Marvel piece. He did it the second week with his Death Note piece, which was one of the best pieces in the entire tournament thus far. So he leans on that purple. I'm not quite sure why, but he does lean on that purple a little bit. But man, this is so like I said, this is what I expected to be. This is a true artistic battle from two really committed, really strong artists. Who wins this matchup, Jay?
Jonas.
Oh, Jay. Okay, Jason is from the UK. All right. What about you, Blake? Who wins this matchup?
This is Zion. I think I'm kind of biased because it's Power Rangers and I like it.
Yeah, got the Power Rangers love. Yes. Zion, by the way, I forget to mention, from the U.S. Virgin Islands. So really, really excited to see someone from that part of this region have a chance to go far in the tournament. For me, it's real close for me, but I think I'm giving the edge to Jason S. Again, traditional, consistent. The mecha piece here is consistent. So the original design as well, or at least I think it's original design. I don't recall seeing it. I wanted to say it was a Tachikoma, but it's not. So I don't know if it's based on anything. I don't think it is. Love just the environment. Love the. I love, again, the way the text handled. There was another complaint with Scion, as much as I loved her piece. The text is legible, but it's just kind of, again, it's not set up in a way that's concise. It's too design heavy. So you got this huge, in the parts that don't have a box around it, at the bottom of the page, you've got this massive drop shadow that just it's like turned up to 100 with a really high intensity and a really high distance. so that it just it suffocates the letters, which makes it a little difficult to read. Then with the other parts that are in the kind of banner boxes, those are designed really cool, but I wish they had been they're too opaque. I wish they had been more solid. Which, yes, it may have ruined a little bit of the image behind it, but that's okay. I need to read what I'm looking at more effectively, and when I can see behind it as much as I can, it ruins or decreases my legibility with it. I'm old, so that bothered me. Again, it wasn't a deal killer, but in the face of a competitor who's giving me every single piece nuanced and done correctly, really hard to make the case that, in my opinion, that Scion, who's a phenomenal artist, defeated Jason S 263. I wish there was something else we could do there, but that's the situation there. So for me, it's Jason S. For Jay, it's Jason S. And for Blake Showers, it is Scion Arts. Now, folks, you can determine who it is that wins this round. And how you can do it is really simple. You go in, you go vote, you make your voice heard. You tell your friends, you tell your family, you tell people that will be in the comics and appreciate great artwork. You tell them to go vote. Tell them to go vote what they think is right. And that way, we get more people to the table, and more people get to voice their opinion. And that, again, may swing what happens based on that. We want to see the best artists who both impress the judges, impress our staff, and impress the public move to the next round. Because, again, they're fighting for an iPad and a whole big package. So please go vote, www.saturday-am.com/madness. All right, our final matchup here. Team Believer. These are superhero comic pages. You can see their great piece there featuring Shazam. And so we're really excited about this. It's a great artist in this group as well. And so let's just jump right into it. So first up is Rachel Brady Art. Now, Rachel Brady Art from the U.S., she has improved quite a bit from when she started. Her first week, I did not care for the piece at all. And she got by somewhat on a technicality on that one. It was a piece from a Netflix series called Violet Evergarden. It just didn't capture me. It wasn't particularly unique. It didn't showcase how good of an artist Rachel is. And Rachel's a really good artist. She really turned that around the second week with the mythological theme, which we had never done before. She delivered this beautiful piece with Kronos. It reminded me of just a great American comic book artist. It was solid. The character was defined. He had a great character design to it, and she had some great effects going on with the color. Her third week, she put together a decent piece, not a fantastic piece, but a decent piece with Duke and LSU Tiger. And I thought the dimensions, again, as we talked about tonight, some of the dimensions of the characters don't quite match up in the little panels. That one, even though it was an illustration, captured it perfectly. And the LSU Tiger was huge. Duke Blue Devil was coming towards you. So it looked like a kind of a, Mark Bagley or old school Marvel comic. And it really flowed well. This one it was kind of in her wheelhouse. We didn't plan on it. We do these things random, but superheroes, I think, is probably in her wheelhouse, given that she's an American artist. And I think this shows a little bit here. This is various characters from the DC and Marvel universes combining in her superhero comic page, and it's got a great little kind of payoff at the end of it. Let me start with you, Blake. What did you make of this?
This one, the simplicity of it was really nice. Like, it was a funny gag. Mm-hmm. I like her style a lot because it's a bit different from what we've been seeing, and it I don't know. I think she knows how to like do it well. The anatomy in the last panel, mm-hmm. I think that was good. That she didn't just have them both kind of statically, just holding the controllers. I like that they have like a bit of movement, and that you can show that they're actually into it. And yeah, I think the shadowing is good too in it.
Okay, all right, Jay, what did you make of this?
Overall, as art, I like it. I do think that as a comic book, she should have pulled out more, especially in the mid panel. There is just too close. It's the same camera shot, and especially because the first two panels and Well, actually, all the panels have the same mid shot. So I really wish that at least one of them, if not the very last panel, then maybe the second panel, just pulling out and showing more of the background. If it was the last panel, it probably would have been a little bit more interesting, mainly because you could have showed them sitting on the entire couch. Maybe have, I don't know, like snacks around or, whatever. But color work, I like. I like that there's motion going on. You can see a little bit of the speed lines with Batman and Wolverine. I thought the story itself was pretty funny, just because a Marvel guy playing with a DC character and a DC character playing with a Marvel guy. I thought that was a nice dynamic. I don't like Shazam's face. I feel like everybody else's face is decent. It's probably because they have a mask on. So I mean, I'm not sure if that is just highlighting that she can't like draw that facial expression, but I've seen like her other images, and they look really good too. So I don't know, that particular face, I definitely would have added a little bit more. I don't know, just made it look a little bit better. But I mean, overall, I like the image. I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, I wish the camera shots would have been a little bit more varied, because it looks kind of flat. Just having mid shots like that.
Yeah, so I would agree. I think that so it's interesting to me. This is an interesting piece. I think everything until you get to the final panel to me is pretty good, except for the color. Like her color work is not like the most dynamic, and again, this is where I come back to people like Adrian and Ambar and other artists who are just really exceptional colorists. Great color work can take a decent work and really take it to the next level. And I think this is a really decent work. I think Rachel is a really decent artist. She's not dramatic. She's not over the top. She's very kind of concise in what she does. And again, it's very Western. It can feel a bit stiff at times, but it's got, it's all proportioned correctly. It just feels right. It's just not maybe as dynamic as some artists aspire to be. But still, like, that Wolverine is great. Like, he's solid, he's popping his claws right in front of you. It's not the most dynamic, positioning of the claws, but still pretty good. Batman's great. He's solid. Two of them going towards each other in the third panel is pretty good. It's not great. I wish there's more, again, energy and dynamism on Wolverine's face, that kind of berserker rage look. But nonetheless, still there, still good. We get the idea that this is a video game. And then you get the Deadpool and Captain Marvel piece at the bottom, which really worked conceptually. I agree. Captain Marvel doesn't quite capture the way Captain Marvel should look, or at least the way he classically looks in the face. Plus, his hair is kind of gray. I mean, her colors are not as strong as I would love. And again, you see that too with the background. That orange background does not suit what's happening here, right? Like, had that background been a little darker, had it been, in fact, I would have loved to have seen her go Bruce Timm with the kind of Batman the Animated Series, and paint on a black background. That would have given that sky it would have gone the effect she wanted, which is that kind of early dusk look, but it would have just felt more dramatic and more artistic. This one's just kind of like a straight orange, gradations of orange and yellow, and just kind of loses its impact, particularly in that final where they're racing towards each other. But then you get to the panel with the two at the bottom, and that's even more boring. That's even more static, even though, yes, I'm glad to see that they're moving. They're moving themselves in a more dynamic way, which is all very realistic. But that's the first time, I think, like, when you look at Shazam's hands again, like, even his fingers look a little weird holding the controller, and that's, again, limitations of artists, their abilities to kind of understand how to do that effectively. But you still get the idea, and the idea is there. But I think the problem with this image to me is that it's got all the right elements. It's got a great idea. It's got great character work for the most part. It just has no dynamism, which is amazing, because there's actually things happening, unlike the Promised Neverland piece, and even to some degree the Pokemon piece. Like this one, there's stuff actually happening here, but it's just not captured dramatically enough. And I think a lot of that's due to the color and just some aspects of the artist's limitations in terms of capturing dynamic imagery herself, in terms of how she chooses to draw certain things, where she places the camera, drawing fingers, all that stuff. But for the most part, I like this piece quite a bit. Her opponent is Impy OJ, and we know Impy, of course, from some great illustrations of that really great Michigan State Spartan piece from last week. She did a fantastic She-Ra piece as well the very first week. So we knew that Impy was an artist to reckon with. She's talented. In this case as well, some of both of the people that we thought would be the finalists or the ranked people going into this tournament were knocked out early. So really interesting setup here. With this piece here, this is the Avengers, movie Avengers. I take it, or comic Avengers. Either way, it's Avengers. What do you make of this, Jay? First.
So like you've been saying, we've been giving them a lot of room, and I feel like this piece is very ambitious. They have a lot going on. It is a comic book page, obviously, but I mean, there's a lot of like proportional things. Like for instance, the Captain America, that third panel, for instance, his face is massive, and on top of that, his the shield that he's holding, it wouldn't look that way. It looks like she wanted to put the shield in there just to say, "Hey, this is Captain Marvel." But I mean, it would have been one like a little bit farther down, or or at least not as round as that, because by showing it that round, that close to the face, it looks like it could have been like a very tiny shield. Like I don't know, and also the second panel with Hawkeye, yet again, it's like it's zoomed in like too much to his face. I think I know that it's a close up and that's supposed to be that way, I guess, but if you were going to do that like two close ups back to back is unless it's I don't know. I just have issue with that. Like, it doesn't look like it could be that way. I mean, artistically, I like, the colors. I'm a big fan of MPJ. Like all of her images, I've loved all the colors. I like all the spot blacks. Some of them don't really make that much sense, but shows that her style is this. Honestly, I wish it would have been, instead of Galactus, Thanos, because that probably would have been a little bit more of easier for people that are just getting into Marvel just from the movies. People who don't know who Galactus is, they probably would know that Thanos is this person. So I mean, that is something else. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's decent, but I mean, only because of the colors. If you took away all the colors, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with like anatomy and just I mean, I will say just one last thing. The Hawkeye in the very last panel is just bothering me. I don't know. His head is like behind his shoulder in the way that it's showing. Like I don't know. That just really bothers me. But overall, I think that if like maybe that very last panel was just one image, it would look cool. But because this is supposed to be a comic book, I mean, a comic book page, like it doesn't necessarily deliver in the way that I think it should. So yeah.
Okay, Blake, what about you?
With this one, the effects are really nice, but a lot of problems I had with it was either like sizing or anatomy. Like I'll start with the last panel. In the last in the last panel with Hawkeye, it like I understand like where his like placement is, but it looked a little bit off. Like it looked like he could be like shooting the bow from behind his head, but I know that it's not that, but it still might be a little confusing. Let me see what else. The yeah, the like how Jay was talking about the shield. The shield kind of looks uh like like it's more beveled out than it should be. The Hulk's kind of body language in the first one, it's a little off, and yeah, I think that the effects on this is really good. It's just kind of some parts of the posing and like how the camera is kind of throws it off for me. But effect wise, I really like it, and that's the only thing I had to say about it.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think I agree with all the comments. I mean, look, again, Impy's color work is exceptional. She's a phenomenal colorist. Again, there is this haze she puts in her work. I don't quite understand why or where. Like, there's just always a haze on the characters. I don't know what stylistic requirement is being met by doing that. But yeah, I mean, character work. I mean, this again, this was the reason we did the comic page, folks, was what you're seeing today is that this was, again, this is trying to get the best artists of the final four. And so therefore, when you got to draw comic pages, that's a great way to kind of see who's actually really good artists, because a lot of the skills you have to come together in that moment. From where you place the camera to how you depict the action. Can you depict the action from panel to panel? The choices that you make, especially when we give you carte blanche, right? We just give you the theme. You can create. I think this is a good example of, as I've said at the very beginning of this, of getting a bit too much rope, because Impy clearly is a great artist. There's no question that her color work is some of the best in the entire tournament. Again, no question about that, except for the haze thing she puts on her stuff. Here, again, yes, very ambitious, because there's a lot of stuff happening here, a lot of characters, not a lot of panels, and so she gets big credit for that. She did not go panel crazy the way that Adrian and some other folks did, but still really, really good stuff going on here. I think she was hoping her color would mask some of the issues perhaps she has as an artist. I had not noticed it in a lot of her work, but this is where you see some of the problems. So, for example, as we indicated, Hawkeye's head's behind his shoulders and so forth. Hulk looks entirely different. Hulk looks ridiculous in the first panel. Again, that I don't know what his arms are doing. The third panel that he's in, the face looks very bizarre. And then in the fourth panel, if Hawkeye's head looks weird, Hulk's head looks very weird, because I'm not sure what that gigantic thing is behind his neck. Like, I don't know what that's supposed to be. It's not his collarbone. I don't know what that is. His shoulders don't quite match. So again, it's some weird stuff going on there. But the Captain America piece didn't bother me as much. The Hawkeye piece I thought was really good. I thought the Hawkeye piece was in the second panel was really, really good. And then you got Galactus in there and stuff. Again, it's extremely ambitious. Not much of it makes any sense. And the character art really fluctuates in terms of being effective to being just, weird or not that good. But the color work does give it more drama. Just like we said before, if you're effective colorists, you can hide a lot of mistakes with effective coloring, because it hypes up the drama, and therefore you can appreciate what the scene is trying to do. I can appreciate what the scene is trying to do here in terms of them all facing a gigantic Galactus. And even the dialogue, kind of captures a little bit, obviously plays off the movie pieces a little bit. But it captures each person, each character's voice is clear here. This wasn't something that we said had to be done, but the fact that Impy made an attempt with it, I think is quite interesting. I think there is something to be said about the fact that Captain America sounds like Captain America, that Hawkeye is being very smart. He's a very smart ass, which is what Hawkeye is in the comic books, even though he looks like the movie version, or at least the original movie version of him. I think he looks like that now in the comics. And then Iron Man kind of has a few quips at the beginning. I did like that. That actually stood out to me quite a bit, the fact that she actually took time to make the characters all sound authentic to who they are. So are there problems on this page? Absolutely. Is the page more dramatic than Rachel's piece, in my opinion? Absolutely. Are there some illustration gaps here? Absolutely. But on the text, on the dialogue side, does it at least capture it and allow the action to also move forward? It does. I think it does it better than any dialogue we've seen today. So that's my thoughts on MPJ's piece. Blake, who won this matchup, MPJ or Rachel M. Brady Art? Blake. I assume we lost Blake. Jay, what did you make of this? Rachel M. Brady or MPJ.
Okay, yeah. Well, since we're going off of comic book skills, this is difficult, man, because I like MPJ a lot, but I mean, Rachel and Brady is a better comic book page, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I don't think there's, I don't think you have to apologize for that. I think that's totally fair. I gotta say, I'm going with Impy here, only because, again, like I said, the dialogue piece mattered to me a great deal. Like, again, it's you could ask the question of, was that art? No, of course it's not art, but it's there, and it drives the action here. So again, we talk about ambition. We talk about biting off more than you could chew. Yes, some of that's done here. I mean, clearly MPJ is not used to having this many characters. I don't know if MPJ is even in the superheroes. And that does come across a little bit here. But the thing that captured with this is that the dialogue is authentic to the characters. Therefore, the scene has given more weight and dimension for that, because now we, hey, they're going up against this giant threat. I compare that to Vicinia's piece earlier, where it was like one phrase said at the very beginning of the thing, and then like just some kind of non-choreographed fight before we get to like a really cool fight, a punch at the very end. But there was nothing to heighten that drama. That we were given no introduction to the characters. Again, that's something you have to think about if you're doing comic pages. It has to flow, and just flowing because you're drawing this person punching that person. Again, if you're going to just do that, then it has to be more dramatic. It has to be more choreographed. In this case, we know this is a big colossal battle. We know that the Avengers are not ready for this. I don't feel like they're ready for this, and so we hear that in the voice. It amps it up with the color work. It brings more give to it. When you look at Rachel's work, it's great. And I do love the piece at the end of it, but the fact that the color work is just so bland, that just kills it for me. Not to mention the fact that there's stuff going on with Captain Marvel's fingers at the end of that, the way he's holding that controller. But I do think that Rachel is that her character images are better, even though they're all from the waist up. I mean, I guess another thing too is MP's doing character work that's from a distance, character work that's close up. This is all from the waist up. Every piece of this is from the waist up. There's nothing here that's different from panel to panel. So that's my thought. Blake, are you back, or is Blake off the chat?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I was trying to get back in the call, and I could hear y'all, but I couldn't actually reply. But
yeah, okay. What do you think? Who's the matchup?
I'm gonna say MP just because it looks more comic booky, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think the panel layout with the MP stuff as well is like, I do like that. Again, it's not quite the standard comic book layout. It's kind of more on the manga style. You have the very basic line separating each of the panels, but the fact that it is suppressed and complete with what it is, meaning that the action that takes place in it is not breaking the plane. It's what you see is broken up pretty clearly, and then it leaves enough room, and she wisely positioned things in each panel to where she takes advantage of the space in ways that we've seen other artists not do. We saw this with in my opinion, with Lucinia and with Adrian. They didn't take advantage of the panels that they created nearly as effectively, I think, as here, because we're literally going from like an establishing shot to a close-up, to a slightly different close-up because you got more, you're showing more characters, to then another establishing shot that where the camera's a bit closer to some of the characters. And that's to me, that's a pretty interesting and pretty sophisticated page layout. All right, so MPJ looks like the winner of this matchup. 2 votes for, 1 vote for Rachel and Brady Art. Folks, again, you get to determine who advances. You get to determine who advances. All you got to do is go to our website, www.saturday-am.com/madness, and you can vote to determine who will make it to the next round. So please go do that and make sure that you are making your voice heard for the public vote as to who it is that should increase. So we're going to do a quick recap, and then we will wrap everything up, and I'll be happy to answer a few questions you guys may have them. So as we go all the way back, I'm having to do this slide by slide. I apologize. As we go all the way back, we began with Team Clock Striker, and this featured George O. Brooks from the United States versus Celestial Pulse from the United States. These are 2 great page layouts. I felt that George O. Brooks' work here, even though I thought this is probably one of the next best page layouts in terms of it's very clear and concise. Each panel is separate from the other panel. The camera moves accordingly with it. It's just it's very bland. There's not enough color or shading or toning going on. You could have gone cell shaded with anything to give it more gravity, more weight to what's happening. These are characters who are basically doing nothing. They're just sitting there enjoying the day. There's no dialogue. There's no nothing. So if you're going to go that route, you've got to give each panel more heft, and that's just not there. So then some of the negative things pop up. Some of the spacing looks a little weird. Some of the character images again are a bit stiff and not quite together as they should be. But nonetheless, it is a great page. The layout is really, really good. But I just think it was enough to beat Celestial Pulse's piece, which when we see Celestial Pulse's piece, I don't think this is particularly better. I think the other page design was actually stronger than this, but I think that the color work here is just second to none. And then on top of that, the final panel is by far the best image on this page, and it really provides a sense of oomph that we're looking for from all the previous panels that just quite aren't there. The spacing is weird. The characters' heights in relationship to each other don't quite work. But that final panel, which still suffers from a little bit of that, when you combine it with the color and the character work, and you know, just it really works. I'm not a fan of the page layout, but this really took it. Therefore, this I think was unanimous for Celestial Pulse. We got the Team Saigami, whose theme was Pokemon pages. Unfortunately, one of the artists didn't get their work in to it. They didn't notify us until the final day, so we weren't able to have the proper matchup that we would have liked, because we think both of these artists are capable of doing tremendously good stuff. We've seen pieces of it from Adrian throughout the tournament, and JT's been pretty strong the whole tournament. So we're really frustrated. This was not the battle we would have wanted, both for you and for us, because we're fans as well of these artists. The biggest challenge I had with this piece here was that the color work, as always, Adrian's one of the top colorists in the entire tournament. Color work, as always, is really strong here, but there are 11 panels on this page, folks. 11 panels. That's not good page layout unless you are truly skilled at doing it. And then on top of that, the Pokemon themselves are like the sidekicks to the human characters, which is completely anathema to what this concept should have been about. And then when it's all said and done as well, the Pokemon don't sync up physically to each other the way that they appear to be on the first panel. Some of the action sequences are poorly choreographed and not well illustrated. And then you got 4 panels in a row at the very end that literally are redundant. Literally redundant. You could have literally had all of that for just one panel. They could have, at the very last panel, you could have had that going there. It could have said sync level 1000 and max sync attack. They could have been screaming that as they do whatever they're doing. And I mean, that means that we could have gotten better panels of the Pokemon fighting because we would have more room. And to miss all of that in favor of putting yourself as an avatar on all those pages is poor layout, poor design. Unfortunately, Adrian didn't have any competition, so there you go. Adrian is there, and he advanced, although I did not vote for either artist in this case for that very reason. At Team Apple Black had the theme Mecha comic pages. We had 2 amazing artists. Cyan Arts had a great piece here. Not traditionally designed. Obviously, it's not a traditional comic book page, but it does count as one. Because the theme was mecha, we would have liked to have seen more of the mecha, even though everything presented here is presented expertly. I mean, presented better than just about any other artist that we've got in the tournament thus far. Unfortunately, there's some wasted panel space, as we see. In the other 2 areas, in the second and third panel, one with the fingers, one with the face, they don't really give you any payoff with the evil character being at the very end. And so we would have really loved to have seen more of the mecha because the color work and everything is so strong on this page. Conversely, Jason S. from the UK just brought some amazing looking work. This is exactly what we were asking for. It's a mecha. I don't know if it's an original design or a copy design, but either way, it is there. We see a human character in there. We see emotion. We see depth. We see character. We see background. We see great speech bubbles that are also in theme with the rest of the art of the page. This is a great piece. And so this was a piece where 2 of us voted for this particular piece here from Jason, where 1 artist voted for Cyan Arts. And then last but not least, we had Team Bleeder, which we just covered with superhero comic pages. And here we have Rachel and Brady Art, a fantastic artist. She's got a piece here featuring Batman and Wolverine with a great payoff at the very end of this. As it turns out, they're actually characters in the video game. Only issue I had here was I felt like some of the character work was a bit stiff, and the coloring work just lessened the dramatic piece of it. Even though I felt like Wolverine in some panels was drawn really well, as was Batman. In the final panel, I don't think either characters presented particularly well. There's no diversity of the panels. These are all panels that are captured from the waist up. So it's a little frustrating on that end, but this was a really strong piece regardless. In comparison, she was going up against MPJ, also from America. MP didn't have some of the best character work here. She had, you know, some pretty basic page layout design, but it was effective. The character dialogue here is done well. It's some of the best in the entire tournament. The color work, again, some of the best in the entire tournament. And we get some real diversity from panel to panel, which is one of the things that, again, if you're going to do comic page layouts, you have to do. You can't just have it all be a character from the waist up talking to each other, or from the neck up, or from the back, or from whatever. It has to be some diversity here. So we get the characters from the front, from the back, close up, headshot, various pieces. They all don't all look great, but put all together, it's a very effective page. This got my vote, got another vote, and then one person voted for Rachel and Brady art. So that's where we are right now. So folks, again, that doesn't mean that any of these people are going to win, because you get to help decide that by voting. So again, you've got until 6 p.m. tomorrow, April 7th, 2019, Sunday, to vote. So go to our website. You see the address here, www.saturday-am.com/madness. Go and vote. Make your voice known. Tell us who you think is the better artist within each of these matchups. Get your friends involved. If you know someone who loves video games or comic books or anime or manga and would love to see some really great art from 8 amazing artists, have them come to the website and vote for their favorite, and that will be considered as we determine who's going to win. We will announce the winners Monday morning, April 8th, and then we will begin the final matchups. What are the final themes for the 4 artists? Who represents Team Bull Eater, Team Apple Black, Team Clock Striker, and Team Sagami? And then who ultimately will produce the best artwork by next Friday, and we reveal the winner of that by Saturday evening, April 13th. So folks, please go to our website, vote, tell your friends to vote as well. Some really, really great art here. So with that being said, folks, again, I'm happy to answer any questions. If you, March Madness is a big event for Saturday AM. It brings out tons of traffic from all over the world, from Israel to Iraq, from the Philippines to Puerto Rico, to the United Kingdom, to Canada, to Italy, to Germany, to Spain, to South Africa, to the United States, Mexico, and so on. So if you want to get your comic, if you want to get your commission, if you want to get your website some visibility, consider advertising with Saturday AM. Not only do we have one of the most popular webcomic brands in the world, we also have obviously one of the greatest art tournaments in the world. This tournament, March Art Madness. Buy an ad and have us feature your work alongside of big multinational companies like Chameleon Art Products. Feel free to go and make your voice known there. So with that being said, folks, I am happy to answer any additional questions from you guys. Please let us know if there are any additional questions from there that you got. Meanwhile, I'm going to kick the slides back, get us back over to Saturday AM. Don't forget, folks, issue 102 of Saturday AM will be hitting next week, and issue 4 of Saturday PM will debut tomorrow. So you'll have a chance to check that out tomorrow if you are a subscriber. Now, any questions that we can answer? I see a number of people here on our chat. Any questions you guys have? Otherwise, we'll be shutting up here in about 10 minutes. And while we're waiting for the questions to come in, I will talk to Jay and to Blake. Jay, Chameleon markers, what did you make of them, my friend?
I really liked them. At first, my very first impression is definitely need more practice. It's really fun to blend different colors together, but as of right now, I feel like it's pretty difficult to try to get the specific blends right in terms of what I want it to look like. I do think that with more practice, it will be not only more easy, but way more fun. But other than that, the only other gripe I had was what was it? I don't know. I'm a really I try to how can I say this? I try to obey whatever the directions are saying, verbatim. So it says that you got to put the cap on the color top immediately, or else it'll dry out. So I kind of got stressed out by that. But that's just because I don't know. I think I'm just anal like that, I guess. I don't know. So I mean, overall, I liked them, and I can't wait to like just work and use them more and more because I feel like they will be really really fun to not only use them just by themselves, but I usually incorporate other art supplies as well with it, so that way I can get the maximum image that I want. Like I have like these white pins that like add highlights and all this other stuff. But yeah, I like them a lot, but I definitely need practice right now. It's not
Yeah,
like as easy as one, two, three. So
yeah. I'm obviously not the person to speak on this. I'm not an artist. I'm just a publisher. I'm the biz guy. I write, but I'm not an artist. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think this is one of those interesting. This company is fantastic. We know they're well reviewed. We know they've got some interesting products, but tools are tools, and it's all about the skill of the artist in terms of using tools. But I'm really eager to see what you guys are able to come up with in using them. That being said, yeah, I'm with you. I can't wait to see kind of what you come up with and stuff, and we'll go from there.
I'm drawing
Um,
thumbnail pictures as we speak. So I mean,
all right. And Blake, what tools do you use? What tools do you typically use? Because I know you've used a variety of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I use Zig markers, and they're made by Curatake. Let me see. I use the FUD pens. They're also made by them. There's this there's this marker for they're like dual tip design markers, and they're kind of like Copics. And they have like a chisel tip and just a regular tip on each side. And they're from AC Moore. I don't think it's like a all over art
Yeah, so
store.
the OEM. It's a brand that they just kind of slap their name on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah, they're good markers. For I would say for starting off, if you're not sure how to blend colors or how markers would do on certain types of paper, and yeah, I would suggest those. If you, I think you can buy them online now. I think AC Moore might have a online store. But yeah, if you want to kind of start, um, and I don't think they're like too much because AC Moore has like a lot of deals and they have a lot of sales just random days too. That would be a good brand of marker, and instead of buying like Copics and like you miss them up and
yeah.
that's
Well,
like
I mean,
eight
yeah,
dollars down the drain.
yeah. Again, so folks, again, it all comes down to what to what sort of tool set you want to try. Chameleon. Again, we've heard great things about them. We are really honored to be partnered with them. They make great products. As we've gotten to know them personally, these are folks who truly care about producing great products and, more importantly, about trying to empower diverse new voices the same way Saturday AM is. So that's why they've sponsored this event. And so please do give them a try. Um, we have a great 10% off coupon you can get with them right now. You can enjoy it right now if you go to their website, www.chameleonartproducts.com. Save 10% off when you use the coupon code SATAM. Tools are tools. It's all about, some tools are really good, some tools are not that great, but it all ultimately comes down to the strength of the artist. The better the artist, the better the kind of experience you're going to get with the tool, and the better the result you're going to get from the tool. But obviously, it helps if you've got a really solid, durable, long lasting, and truly efficient, meaning that you can get a lot of use out of it, sort of product. And Chameleon Art Products are that long lasting, durable, and with the ability to mix in the different colors together, you can create infinite colors. So check them out. Go to their website. Don't take our word for it. Go to the website, type in the code, and get 10% off and check out some of the products for yourself. As we indicated at the beginning of this, some of our artists who participate in the tournament are getting prize packages sent to them each week directly from Chameleon. And of course, the grand prize will be a set of the top Chameleon markers and color tops, as well as some products from our other vendors such as Illo Sketchbooks, 21 Draw, and some stuff even from Saturday AM, including the Apple iPad and Apple Pencil. So really, really excited about working with Chameleon. We hope you guys will check them out. Save yourself 10%. Try some of their products and see what you think, and then let us know. Some of the questions that have come in regards to this are people are asking what Saturday PM is. Saturday PM is our mature magazine. So Saturday AM is kind of like our Shonen magazine. It features a sort of content that's kind of all ages, meant more so for teenagers. Saturday PM is meant for older audiences. There's really no content in it that's objective. We don't believe in having, excessive graphic violence or pornography. But you know, there might be a comedic series that has a character that might not have all their clothes on, or it might be uh, some violence that occurs. But the series really ultimately is about uh, characters who are dealing with mature problems. Whether it's problems that are deadly, problems that are more psychological. That's a little different than what you see in Shonen manga, which is more superhero-y type stuff. So yeah, Saturday PM is great. We have a new series debuting in it called Underground. We highly recommend you guys check it out. Really great series. I think you guys will enjoy that. Let's see. The podcast Saturday FM. We've actually recorded some test footage for it. It came out great. We're working on lining up our first guest for it, and we should have it available. One thing that we'll be posting tomorrow, and then of course you can read it Monday if you want to just go to the website when we announce the winners of this round of March Art Madness. We'll also have the link in there for people to submit their pitches, because we're going to have a pitch session review that will be in this first episode of Saturday FM, and we hope to have that be a regular feature of Saturday FM, our podcast. The podcast is all about kind of showcasing creativity. It's not about just what's happening Saturday AM, what's happening in the news for geek culture. It's really about, hey, this is what companies are going through to produce great content. This is what it takes to make great creative content. And from that perspective, it's about really shining a spotlight on that. So that's where Saturday FM is. It'll be debuting soon, so you have a chance to check it out. All right, so again, we've got some great pieces of art. Please go vote. You can do so at www.saturday-am.com/madness. See these artists for yourself. Let your opinion be known. Don't just take our word for it. Let your opinion be known about these artists and the work that they produced in this round. And who do you think deserves to go to the next round to compete for an Apple iPad, Chameleon Art Products, and a variety of other prizes? Likewise, our sponsor, Chameleon Art Products, are great. They're producing fantastic art tools, markers, pencils for you to use in creating your art. They really believe in this tournament. They really believe in Saturday AM's ability to reach young people, and we hope you guys will check them out. You can do so. Save yourself 10% off when you do it using coupon code SATAM, SATAM. You can do all that at www.chameleonartproducts.com. With that being said, I want to turn to my host, Mr. Jay Oden. Is there anything else you want to add, sir?
I am currently doing a giveaway right now for my for 3 lucky winners who are going to be getting one of the one-shots book that I am currently self-publishing. In order to be eligible, you have to follow me and Saturday AM on Instagram. You also have to tag 3 friends in the latest post that I have, with all these rules. And also you have to go to www.saturday-am.com/hammer1 and read chapters 1 through 3 of Hammer and leave a comment on one of those chapters. Let me know exactly what your favorite scene was, and then I will be doing a random pick, and one of 3 people will win one of the books. So yeah.
So, folks, Jay's having you do a lot of stuff. You should have put him there and run for president. That's a lot of stuff that Jay Oden's having you do, folks. But please do it and support this great artist. Blake, what can you tell us about yourself, sir? Anything you want people to know before we sign off?
Yeah, Tortuga Force 5 will be in issue 103 of Saturday AM. You guys, this one is going to be kind of actiony, so I hope that y'all like it. Remember to vote. Vote. And follow Saturday AM. Yeah.
Folks, I hope you guys will credit this man. That's the most excited I've ever seen him. Please and some love for that level of extreme excitement. Folks, again, on behalf of myself and all of our staff members, all of our artists, Saturday AM is a true revolution. We believe greatly in diversity. Same way March Art Madness appeals to artists from Iraq to Israel to U.S. Virgin Islands and beyond. Saturday AM does so with creators from Saudi Arabia to Nigeria to New Zealand, United States, UK, and so on. Folks, diversity matters. Having more voices at the table, whether it's behind the decisions or it's what you're reading or seeing on screen or on TV or in your comic books, diversity matters. And so we believe in it. We're the first ones to champion it. And here we are 5 years later with a brand that continues to grow. We so appreciate you taking time out to support Saturday AM, to support Saturday PM, and to support all of our individual creators and the artists who participate in March Art Madness. We thank them so much for taking the time out to be a part of this tournament. We know that they're doing it to win an iPad, not because they love us, but we do appreciate them and the sacrifices and hard work that they're putting in regardless. Likewise, we appreciate all of you guys for supporting us and believing in what we're doing and subscribing to our magazines, seeing us at conventions and supporting us where you can. This is a big year for Saturday AM. We intend to have our books in stores across the United States and beyond. So we hope that you guys will be there when you see those books and support it. Tweet it, share it to friends and family, purchase it, and just let us know that you're there and part of what we're trying to do to try to revolutionize manga the way it looks and feels around the world. Likewise, you're going to see more and more cool stuff on our website soon, so please check that out. Visit our websites. And again, as we continue to advertise and get more partners, whether it's you who are advertising with us or it's bigger companies who make art supplies or various products that you might want to check out, please do us a favor always and support that vendor. You haven't got to buy the product if you don't want to, but at least go to their website, at least follow the links that we provide to go to their website, check them out, and let them know that you discovered them through us. It helps us continue to keep the lights on and continue to fight for what we believe in by funding what we're doing. So thank you so much. Thank you to Blake Showers and Jay Oden. And folks, we'll see you next week with our final March Art Madness episode. This will include the appearance from one of our judges will be White Manga. So for those of you who are big fans of White, you'll have a chance to check that out directly then. We hope you guys will do so and check us out next week, as well as we're going to hopefully have a special guest from there. So folks, thank you so much, and we hope to chat with you soon.